We are back from vacation and have working internet again, so it's time to talk about The Mandalorian Chapter 6, The Prisoner. It seems that the Mando is still seeking a safe place for him and Baby Yoda to rest for a bit, so he takes the Razor Crest to a shady-looking space station where he meets up with some old friends. They're basically a crew he used to work with when he was younger. They all reminisce about the good old times, and I think this is the first time we're hearing about what the Mando was like in between that attack we've seen from the Clone Wars and the present day. And it doesn't sound pretty. Xi'an, the Twi'lek character, references an event on Alzok 3 where the Mando, quote, did what he had to do, but enjoyed it. The group's leader, Ranzar, also talks about how the Mando referred to their jobs as target practice. We're shown this old crew, and they're very clearly meant to be despicable, but our hero used to fit in with those kinds of people. His new armor, which Xi'an comments on, represents how the Mando has changed since he last ran with them. At the start of the series, it's beat up and incomplete. Then in Episode 2, it's completely ruined. He straight up tells the armorer it's lost its integrity and that he needs to start again. Apparently, the Mando had very little integrity back in the day, but it's clear that he no longer fits in this world. Finding the child has changed him for the better, and even though we've never seen the Mando at his worst, he's still getting a redemption story. He's been given the choice to be better, and he's taking it. The new armor is basically showing us his shiny, clean slate. But Ranzar won't let him hide out for free. He says the only reason he let the Mando dock was for the Razor Crest, which would be perfect for a very specific job. The Mandalorian pushes back on that idea because he's got a baby on board, but he's basically forced into it. He will join them all on a mission to board a New Republic prison ship to break out a captured member of their crew. The three members that don't know the Mando, Mayfeld, a Devaronian named Berg, and a droid named Zero, all seem a little skeptical of his skills in battle. They ask if Mandalorians are such great warriors, why are they all dead? That has to be in reference to the Great Purge we've heard about multiple times, and it was pretty safe to assume that was the case, but we now have some confirmation. It sounds like the Empire wiped out as many Mandalorians as it could after their revolution on Mandalore in Star Wars Rebels. And of course, this crew of the worst people alive wind up finding Baby Yoda in his little cupboard. I think that whole scene was meant to be like, hey, if you like these new people even a little bit, we're gonna make sure you now hate them. Mayfeld talks about keeping the child as a pet and plays like he's going to drop the baby, and then the ship makes a sharp turn, and he does drop the baby. We watched this episode on vacation with our friends, and literally everyone in the room screamed when that happened. I was immediately convinced all those people were going to be dead by the end of the episode. So they board the New Republic type ship, which has a very Tantive 4 type interior. I thought that was a nice touch, but they run into some New Republic battle droids, or guard droids, or whatever we're calling them. They take some design cues from the KX security droids, but with some of the more Imperial-looking elements stripped away. I like this as a subtle display that just because the Empire surrendered, it doesn't mean its impact on the galaxy is gone. The New Republic isn't just immediately better with zero problems just because they won the war. The use of droids is also a reminder that Mon Mothma heavily demilitarized the government as seen in the book Last Shot. There might not be enough organic beings to man ships like this, so droids are used instead. We can see the New Republic crest on their plating. I do have a tiny gripe about that. It's the one used in Legends, which is cool, except the Aftermath books and Star Wars Resistance have shown us a different crest being used. We can also see the Legends version on a coin in the Gunslinger. I'd guess this means there are different crests for different uses. The decision just seems odd to me. It's not a huge deal, just one of those nerdy little details I noticed, but 95% of the people that watch this show won't notice or won't care. But the Mando gets to impress the crew and work out some of his droid hatred on all the security droids single-handedly. It was a really cool fight, and I also like that part of the Mando's strategy simply means to let himself get shot. The Beskar can take it, but he gets shot a lot. When they reach the control room, they discover that the ship isn't fully manned by droids. One lone soldier, played by Anakin's voice actor Matt Lanter, needs to be dealt with. He threatens to bring a New Republic task force down on his position with a tracker, and the Mando does his best to calm the situation down. They all end up in a standoff where Mayfeld and Berg want to shoot the soldier, but the Mando wants to leave him alive. Things almost boil over until Xi'an kills the soldier and accidentally activates the tracker. But that whole scene is again showing us that the Mando doesn't belong in this world anymore. The old him probably would have killed the soldier without a thought, but that was a long time ago. He wants to be better now, and we can see that he's willing to fight for his ideals. But now there is a ticking clock to get the prisoner and escape the ship before the New Republic shows up. They open the cell by using a spike, which was a cool Star Wars-y touch. I don't think we've seen one of those since Star Wars Rebels. The prisoner is revealed to be Quinn, the brother of Xi'an, who the Mando apparently left behind on a job. The whole thing is a setup, and the crew throws the Mandalorian into the cell. There's actually some decent foreshadowing for their betrayal. They discuss taking Baby Yoda for themselves after the job, as if that was just an inevitability. Mayfeld stops Xi'an from helping the Mando during the droid fight, maybe so they wouldn't have to deal with him later. But he doesn't stay locked up long, escaping by dismantling a droid through his cell door. He gets back to the control room to trap and separate the crew, and again, we're seeing the type of people that crew is. Quinn is immediately willing to leave his sister behind to save his own skin. This whole sequence was awesome, having the Mando track down and incapacitate each crew member one by one. The door quote-unquote kill on Berg was the best part, which got a cheer out of the room. We also learned that Devaronians are fireproof, which is pretty cool. The stalking scene from Mayfeld was also very well done, and I love the use of a mouse droid as the black cat horror movie trope. It's all awesome, until he meets up with Quinn, who appeals to the Mando's sense of honor, requesting the job he was hired to do be completed. Meanwhile, the droid, Zero, learns about Baby Yoda and starts stalking him through the Razor Crest until cornering him and raising his blaster. Baby Yoda raises his hand, and then the droid's chest explodes. The child's reaction was perfect and got a big laugh out of everyone, but the Mando saved him by shooting dangerously close to him for the second week in a row. They head back to the base, and Quinn is delivered back to Ranzar along with that New Republic tracker. As the Mando flies away, 3 X-Wings come out of hyperspace and begin disabling the station. The 3 pilots are played by Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, and Deborah Chow. Filoni's character's name is Trapper Wolf because, of course it is. I'm surprised he didn't have a wolf on his helmet. Fellow YouTuber Spacestock pointed out on Twitter that the concept art for this episode shows a T-70 X-Wing leading 2 T-65s. I wish they had done that instead of using all T-65s, just as a subtle way to show the New Republic evolving, but oh well. As the Mando and Baby Yoda fly through hyperspace, the Mando gives the little Tyke his favorite toy, but then we cut back to the prison ship where we learn that he locked up all 3 of Ranzar's crew. I do like that he didn't kill them all, again to show that he has changed since he used to be part of that world. He is better than them, and even though the old Mando might have killed them without a thought, the new Mando is more about justice. But I find it a little strange that Berg survived with only 2 broken horns. The door scene was so fast and so brutal, I just don't understand how he survived. Maybe Devaronian physiology just bounces back, literally. So yeah, this was a good episode. I'll admit that early on I was skeptical. I wasn't quite on board with the bad guy characters. I thought Bill Burr did a pretty good job and I loved his crack about not being a stormtrooper, but Berg and Xi'an felt like a little much. Just over the top, look at how bad we are. I growl and I hiss and balance knives on my fingers like, okay, yeah, I get it. But as the episode went on, I got more and more invested, and I think this is easily one of the better episodes of the series so far. And the way this show is structured, I could see all of those characters coming back in a future season to seek some revenge or something. Speaking of the show's structure, I think I'm still getting used to it. I was expecting The Mandalorian to be very serialized, especially with only 8 episodes. I thought we'd see one ongoing building story. The first 3 episodes felt like that to me, but 4, 5, and 6 have all been very standalone. And that's not necessarily bad, just not what I was expecting. We're spending a lot of time learning about who the Mando is and was and wants to be, and I do really like character-driven stories. It's just kind of unexpected to see a series like this nowadays. I saw someone online compare it to Hercules or Xena, and I think that's very accurate with a kind of adventure of the week feel. I kinda think or hope that Season 2 will be more serialized and less standalone. We know Cara Dune and Grief Karga will be in at least one of these last 2 episodes, and we know Cara will be in Season 2. I hope both characters appear a lot more frequently. They were touted as members of the main cast, and I want that to be true. My guess is that Season 1 is very experimental, and I bet they did everything they could to keep costs down so the production quality could be as high as possible. That's probably why we're getting so many actors appearing in only an episode or two. That's probably why Pedro Pascal isn't always wearing the armor, and sometimes he's just doing voiceover. We see a very similar pattern with the Star Wars animation department. Season 1 of Rebels and Resistance mostly take place on one planet to save on the time, effort, and money of creating tons of models and environments. But then at the end of both seasons, the galaxy opens up for our characters, and in Season 2, the show feels much bigger. I'm hoping future seasons of The Mandalorian follow suit. Disney can now see that there is a definite market for a show like this, so maybe things will feel a little more focused in Season 2. Cara Dune and Greef Karga can be in most, if not all, of the episodes. The Mando could show his face, stuff like that. That's really my only gripe with this show, is that I can feel the TV budget in the way the characters are handled, but I have hope that that'll improve in future seasons. And we're still getting good episodes, don't get me wrong. It just seems like the marketing before the first episode talked up a bunch of great characters that have barely been around. But as for my review of The Prisoner, I found it to be very enjoyable. A little over the top at times, sure, but good fun. And it was so satisfying to see all of those over-the-top baddies get what they deserved. Chapter 7 doesn't have a title yet, but the description reads, "An old rival extends an invitation for the Mandalorian to make peace." I bet this'll see the return of Greef Karga, which is obviously something I would like to see. I'm also excited to have Deborah Chow return for another episode because her previous work on Chapter 3 was excellent. But that's it for today. Let me know what you thought of The Prisoner in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page where we've made audio commentaries for every episode of The Mandalorian available. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.